Hello, I'm Gareth Davis, and this is the Championship Rounds for Pitch Boxing, where I bring you all the interviews from the combat sports world. Enjoy. It is me. I'm not in disguise. Don't worry. I'm not spying for the other side. No estoy hablando en mexicano, en español. I'm in Britain. I'm genuine. It's great. It's great to see you. I've got to ask you first of all, how interesting has it been working with Gennady?
It's been very exciting. It's been great. I mean, for me, with it being a fighter, it's just exciting when you got a fighter that's excited to fight, that's excited to train. He loves being in the gym. So that right there is exciting. That right there alone for me is great.
And you must have had the conversation with him, as I have with many people. I've been at the previous two fights between the two men. He clearly won the first fight back in 2017, like clearly. Right. Both in the arena and on TV, because as you'll know, you've been around long, sometimes people see a different fight on TV than they do in the arena. We saw it with Joshua and Usyk last week. We saw a closer fight in the arena in Jeddah than a lot of people did on TV. But Gennady clearly won the first fight. The second fight was razor close. You must have had that conversation with him about the previous two fights, even though people are putting him here as a big underdog in this third fight.
Honestly, I didn't. I didn't have a long-standing conversation with him. I just told him when I first started working with him, I said, listen, we know the elephant in the room. Let's address the elephant in the room. And I started planning his sparring and everything according to the way the elephant in the room fights, according to the, at least no matter who he was fighting, at least one sparring partner was similar to Canelo in every single camp. You know, because I knew eventually this day would come, and I wanted him to be able to adapt to guys similar to him, but at the same time, the way both guys fought the first two fights, they don't fight the same way now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Canelo was a smaller guy the first fight. He was a mover. He was more of a boxer. Second fight, he came 10 feet tall. He came 300 pounds. He came walking them down, kicking down doors. You know what I'm saying? Like he's just a different guy. You know, so with him being different, so the styles and strategies sort of changed to be different.
Do you think it'll still be a chess match as it was the first two? Because they're both very adept boxers. But as you say, Canelo is more like the bull at the gate these days, you know, and you know, I can say this from afar. It took Gennady a little bit longer to get started against Ryota Murata. It could be the styles again. Obviously, he did a number on him. I mean, we're also talking about the difference because this is at super middle, 8 pounds heavier rather than at middleweight. Do you think that plays into it being a different type of fight as well?
I don't think so. I think if they both was to fight at 140, I think the fight would be the same.
Yeah.
Or if they both was to fight at 75, the fight would be the same. I think these two guys just have the ability to muscle up and bring the best out of each other. You know, so I don't think the fight would be different. I just think that I think Canelo style-wise is gonna force G. If I think G's gonna start right away, but if he didn't want to start right away, Canelo's style will force him to start right away.
Yeah. So it's really in that space between them where he does his work. It's just going to come down to the 36 minutes at play, in your view. Yeah, and the best guy in that space.
It's gonna come down to punch volume for G, not what he hit him with, just how often he's hitting them. I think that's what it's going to come down to, in my opinion. I think if he hit him consistent and often, then Canelo, because Canelo don't throw as many punches as he threw the first fight. That's not him anymore. Canelo was really active the first two fights. You know, he was one of them guys. He was not just a counterpuncher. He was a counterpuncher, and he'd throw shots in between. But now he's purely a counterpuncher. He's just wait for one big shot, and I think so. Both guys are different, but I think that if G was able to continue to pick up his work rate, then I don't think he's gonna have to be. It's not going to be that situation where, okay, now this the 10th round. There's no way in the world G could get a decision. I don't think it's going to be that situation.
It's a while since I saw you in the Klitschko camps and you were boxing yourself. How good is this guy? You know, you've been around boxing such a long time, I think 25 odd years. You know, how talented is this man you've been working with?
You remind me of Vladimir.
Mm.
That's the talent that we're working with. He's smart, make very intelligent decisions. That's the talent that we're working with. I think the only negative part about him is, I can't even say negative. I'm not gonna, let me change that. It's not negative.
Yeah.
But so many people have been around him for so long. They want to turn him into this only a power puncher. And he's so much better than that. So much better than just a power puncher. He's a good mover. He's a good boxer. He got a great jab. He got a good right hand. He's more than just a puncher. He's a good boxer. And I think on the 17th, a lot of people will see the type of rhythm fighter he is. He got a good rhythm to him. He slip punches. He don't just take everything. He slip punches. He can return it. He can do a lot of things, man. On the talent wise, the man is awesome.
I've always classed him as a modern great, given his body of work, genuine modern great at middleweight. And he's a gentleman as well and a sportsman. And every time, it's very hard to get kind of spiteful words out of Gennady for anyone. But is he motivated at all by the history between the two men on a personal level, in your view? And will that take him further in this fight? Or maybe shouldn't he be like that, because maybe it won't take him further in this fight?
I think what's going to take him, what got him in training camp, is the same thing that's going to take him further deep into this fight. And that's just him being competitive, him wanting to provide a beautiful life for his family. And I think that, and him wanting to be in the sport, him wanting to be the best in the sport, I think that drives him more than any Canelo Alvarez could. That drives him more than any media could. Because when you have a desire for yourself, it's bigger than what other people may want it for you. Like what Canelo brings to the table is a lot. And me, as a fan of the sport, I think the kid's an amazing fighter, you know, but I also think G's an amazing fighter. And G believes in himself. And G wants the best for himself, you know, so therefore, only thing that's going to play the part on the night of the 17th, if G wanting to be the best, and he's willing to do everything he can to prove to not just the people around the ring, not just to the world. He wants to prove it to Canelo first that I'm the best. So I'm coming to get you.
Jonathan, I really appreciate the time. I look forward to seeing you in Vegas in Fight Week, sir. Reunited.
I look forward to it as well.
Cheers. Thank you so much for your time today.
My pleasure. Cheers.
I'm with Michaela Meyer, channeling her inner or outer Tyson Fury, are we saying?
Well, I'm in training camp right now, so I don't have time to get all pretty for you guys. This is what you get.
You've been in London for a period of time. Was it a
Yes.
good move to come here early, Michaela?
Yes, I was just sort of like patting myself on the back this morning saying like, wow, I'm really glad because um, for one, it's obviously the time difference and everything that I want to be adjusted to, but also a long flight like that definitely throws my weight off. And so I want to be able to kind of, I need that extra 4 or 5 days to, get that flight weight off and just kind of ease back into my natural body weight. So this is great because my whole team is here with me. I have my nutritionist and both my coaches and everything. So it's perfect.
And where have you been based?
London.
Oh, you don't know where you are.
Never.
Are you near the O2 Arena? Are you far away?
Yes. No. I'm right next to the O2 Arena, right along the river. So it's really pretty. I've been doing some of my runs along it and just trying to get in the sunshine. But I haven't been very jet lagged at all, actually. I've been sleeping through the night like 10 hours every night. So far, so good.
How do you feel about the fact you're on this card? There's 11 women's fights.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that?
Amazing. Like this was what I was hoping they would do. I kind of expected, once they brought this to my attention about me joining Shields Marshall, I kind of hoped and expected that this would turn into an all-female card. Like, why not? And so I'm glad they went through with that. This is amazing. This is iconic. This is exactly what I was hoping for when I said, hell yeah, let's do this. Let's bring these two great fights together for the fans and hopefully bring up some young female talent while we're at it. This is perfect, ideal.
Did you ever have any doubts about the fact that you wanted to be a headline event yourself with Alicia Baumgardner as well, as opposed to being on, as you said, the Shields Marshall card or Marshall Shields card?
Well, we were going to be the main event. Like that was, I'm a main event fighter now, right? So that was originally what the plan was going to be. But due to logistics and everything that was going on with these fights they were going to end up happening like back to back, like one weekend. We would have been the weekend before and they would have been the weekend after. And it was a lot. So it actually made more sense to put these two fights together for the fans, for the networks. And I didn't care. I think it's awesome. Like, why wouldn't I want to be back on the big stage with my Olympic sister Clarissa Shields? Our other Olympic sister Ginny Fuchs is on the card also, and so I just thought it would be super fun and super different. Like I may never get to do something this awesome in my career ever again. I can always go back to being a main event, but I thought this was really cool and unique. And so I didn't care about it. Wasn't really about that for me. It wasn't like my ego kicked in and I was like, oh, but you're a main event fighter. I think this is just as badass. And like I said, fun and different. And I'm here to do iconic, awesome shit.
Last weekend I was at the O2 Arena for KSI versus Swarms and Luis Pinedo. It's a very different kind of event. It was a full arena with a different crowd because it was YouTubers and influencers and the mainstream, the digital world. A lot of very well-known, very famous people, a lot of young people, a different kind of crowd coming to boxing for the people that they follow. Are you expecting it to be a different kind of atmosphere? Not this will bother you too much. I'm just trying to get your take on it because when you go to the ring, you'll be going to the ring and that's what you'll be focused on. Do you think you'll see a different kind of atmosphere in there on Saturday night?
I think I'm going to see a different atmosphere than I'm used to already, just because I'm here in London competing in front of the UK fan base and supporters. Like I've never done that. I know they bring a totally different energy to the arena is one of the reasons I was so excited about coming over here to fight. So I already feel like it's going to be something different and unique. But I don't know really, I don't know in what way, honestly. I think it's going to be just as new and exciting for me. I'm used to being thrown into situations though that I'm not used to, and obviously coming up in the amateurs, fighting in all different arenas and on all different types of cars in different countries and different accommodations. I'm used to it, so I think it's going to be different, and I really don't know what it's going to be like. I'm kind of like just as interested, and we'll see, but I'm excited for it.
Do you consider this to be one of your toughest fights that you're going into against Baumgartner?
All my fights now, any fight that I go into is the toughest fight to date, is the most important fight to date. Um, so yeah, because I've worked so hard to be in the position that I'm in now, and one screw up and it's all over. And so I know that this is not a forgiving sport, and that it's going to be just as hard to stay on top as it is to get there, if not harder. And I completely have that in my mindset. So I've trained for the best possible, most badass version of Alicia Baumgartner. And yeah, that's just the mentality I have to have from here on out.
In the last year or two, I'll come on to the growth of women's sport in this country in a sec, but in the last year or two, maybe year and a half, have we seen a change in you, in your image, in the way you put yourself out there, in how you? I know you and I have spoken, or I've raised it several times about how you kind of got an alter ego on social media. Sometimes you get stuck into your opponents. Um, it looks like you've upped your game in terms of, here I am, I'm a fighter, but I'm also a woman. Look at me, I'm out there and proud about the fact that I'm a fighter as well as very feminine and all those things. Is that fair to say?
I mean, yeah, I think that if you've noticed that, then that's great. I always hope to continue to um grow into the woman that I am, not just the fighter and the athlete that I am, but I'm also growing into the woman that I am. And I've always believed in authenticity and not sacrificing one side of me for the other. And so yeah, I'm still a feminine woman, and I also am a fighter, and so I do like to express both those sides of me. But I'm also, confident. I just turned 32 this year. I know who I am as a person, as a fighter, as an athlete. Like, I know what I want. Um, I know I know my best qualities. I know my weaknesses. I just know like myself very well at this stage in my life, and I think that also plays a big role going into the biggest fights of my life, because that's the mental game, right?
Yeah.
And so I feel
Yeah,
good.
yeah, I was asking that because I think maybe we have passed that stage where people aren't saying anymore, "Oh, women fighting. Oh, women
Mm.
fighting." Do you think that's gone?
Yeah. Not quite, not for everybody, but it's definitely fading away. I mean, we still have like a lot of people to break through too, but
Mm,
this era has done so much. I mean, we've definitely hit a stepping stone where it'll never be where it was, where maybe it was like, you know 5, 6, 7 years ago, before these women started taking off. It'll never go back to that, especially with the talent pool that's so deep, all these young women coming up. All the promoters are really investing in the women now. They have a huge roster. Top Rank just signed their second female, and so even though it's only two females now, like it's still a big stepping stone, because America is a tough market, and so the fact that they've signed another woman and makes me feel like I did my job to an extent,
yeah.
and that we're on the right path and going in the right direction. So it's all changing, it's all coming together. I've always said that this generation may not reap the full benefits of their hard work, but it's proof that it's going to change for the next generation after us.
Did you pick up on, or have you heard about, or have you spoken to anyone about the massive interest in women's football that occurred in the summer, and the discussions about women's sport after the Lionesses won, the England team won the European Football Championship? Did that wash on you at all? Did you see that?
I did see it. I saw how big of a deal, now being on Twitter and being connected to the UK and building a fan base there. I definitely saw it streaming through. I probably would have never known about it before, but I'm actually thinking I think I'm doing a little something with that on this coming weekend. So um yeah, I did play American soccer for 10 years
Yes.
growing up, so I know a little bit about it. But yeah, that's amazing. I love how the UK really, really embrace the women, and have been embracing the women in the female sports.
Could you have taken up professional football then? Were you good enough? What position did you play?
I played midfield, or like my dad always put me on the left. My dad was our soccer coach. He basically said I tripped over the ball for 10 years. So no. I don't think I could have played professional. It was just coming up as a kid. Like I never was like super competitive with it. But yeah, I'm really just good at boxing, honestly. I'm not like a team player.
Just finally on the fight itself, you and I have spoken about it before. Obviously you want victory at all costs. Are you looking to be undisputed in the division? And are you still looking for this mega fight with Katie Taylor?
Yes, I have worked really, really hard to get to this point, to get this close to being undisputed, and so I want to follow through with that goal. This fight is very important. I got to get through that. But then I obviously want Choi. Baumgartner tried to get a fight with Choi too. She's been ridiculously hard to negotiate and get a fight with. But maybe now that the belts will be all collected after this, she'll be more than willing to step up. If not, I have every intention of going at the WBA to make it happen, because this has been a long time coming. It's the most competitive division in boxing, one of the most, I feel, and we need an undisputed champion. And so that's definitely my number one goal. And then after that, I want to move up to 35. So I think the undisputed fight should happen no later than January. If everything goes the way I plan it to go, no later than January. And then I want to move up and challenge myself against Katie Taylor. She's been at the top of her game, the best since I even came on the scene years ago. And so I have a lot of respect for her. She's accomplished a lot, and I want to test myself against her. Period. That's it. So, and I want to do that sooner than later. So yeah, that's ideally Baumgartner, Choi, Katie Taylor.
And give me a quick prediction for this weekend. Bergelt against Jonas in Liverpool. I don't know if you've got eyes on it at all, because you're too busy with your thing. But they fight this weekend. Bergelt's undefeated in 15, I think it is. Not necessarily the biggest puncher, but knows her way around the ring really well. Victory over Hannah Rankin. Tasha Jonas has surprised us by going up to 2.5, 3 weight divisions to win a world title. How do you see that one?
Well, without knowing too much about her opponent and just knowing the pedigree that Natasha Jonas has, I'd put my money on her. It's like at this level of in women's boxing, or this era, it's really, really hard to compete if you don't have an amateur pedigree. If you haven't had that amateur background and that experience, it's just really, really hard to compete with the best of us and be able to stay on top. And that's changing. This is probably the last generation where you see women be able to come into the pros in their mid-20s without any amateur experience and be able to even be competitive. It's just not going to be able to be a thing anymore, just like the men. So
because there's that deep foundation there for the amateurs, the days and weeks and months and years of just all of that.
And it wasn't always like that. Yeah, it wasn't always like that because we weren't always able to compete at the highest level. I mean, we didn't always have a women's world championship. Yeah. We weren't always allowed to compete in the Olympics, not until 2012. And so now that we are, you're seeing the talent pool and you're seeing the skill level get better and better because we're being challenged, we're being pushed. We're being able to compete at the highest possible level. And that's what creates skill and champions. So it's changing.
And tell me, what does fight week look like for you next week? Obviously, you've got the set pieces, the press conference, the weigh-ins, fight day.
Well,
how do you look after yourself in fight week? You have to make weight. Obviously, that's one of the issues. But how do you look after yourself in fight week?
So this is a little different because this is the first time I'm not fighting on a top ranked card as a professional, right? This is a boxer card. So even though the structure is the same, you have the press conference and the media workout and the weigh-ins, the logistics are completely different. Like just the way they do things are very different. So having to adapt a little bit, but also make sure that I get what I need to get done. My nutrition, my weight cuts, my workouts, my rest, and everything that I'm used to doing. But that's what my team's for. They're on it. We got the full schedule. We're making the adjustments where we need to. That's another reason why we wanted to get out here early and just make sure everything was goes smoothly. We're champions for a reason. Me and my team, right? We're champions for a reason. Like, we know what works. We don't switch things up. And we make sure that we do everything the same. Every fight camp, we do things the same. Like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So Coach Al is very adamant about that. And like I said, I have my nutritionist here and everything, so they're on it. My manager's great. We're all good. We'll figure it out.
Brilliant. We'll stay well, and I look forward to seeing you in fight week, as we all do. And it's going to be an amazing, very different week for all of us. It's brilliant.
I know, it's going to be so fun. Again, I'm so glad that I have my two Olympic sisters here. It's like we're reunited. This is going to be really fun.